This broadcast has been brought to you by friends and partners of Alfano Ministries International. Thank you for partnering with us today. All right. Well, everybody, welcome back to the 7K Revelation podcast. This is your host, Marc Alfano. And, this whole broadcast came to me really because I was looking for a way to get the word out about other ministries and other business people who are doing big things for the kingdom. The whole idea of 7K Revelation comes from the Bible with Elijah saying, hey, God, am I the only one? And God says, no, there's 7,000 others that haven't bowed the knee to Baal. The other part of it is in Revelation where it says that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony. And, when I look for people to interview, it's always somebody who's either in ministry or they're in a business that's tied back to a ministry. And what I have here with my next guest, Mr. Mark Mikec, is like the trifecta, because not only is he somebody who's always been involved in ministry ever since I was a little kid. I've known him and being in church and being plugged in. Number one. Number two is a business that's actually connected. He's taken his business and connected that back into winning souls and funding the ministry. But then also he's had a role in the political realm. So there's three major mountains that I feel like the church has been weak in, and when you find somebody who's actually had a lot of strength in all three areas, it's a story that we want to hear about, So Mr. Mark, welcome to the broadcast. And,
I'm still getting used to being the old guy in the room.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Well, it's funny is that when I first met you, obviously we grew up in church. My parents went to the same church as you and your wife did for years. So I grew up with your kids and one of the very first experiences I had where I actually got to come to your house happened over a motorcycle.
Yeah, it was.
So I think your son said, hey, why don't you come over and ride bikes? Yeah. We rode dirt bikes, and then he said, hey, I want to sell you my dirt bike. And then you were like,
XR70 or something.
Yeah, XR75, yeah. And you were like, no, we can't sell him your bike, but the neighbor's selling one. Mm-hmm. And not only did we buy it from the neighbor, then you helped me tear the whole thing apart and rebuild it, which is just such an act of, kindness to a young person that made a huge impact on my life.
We had a good time doing it. Yeah. I always like to see the kids ride.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a good way to just experience some freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mark, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit? Obviously, you weren't born a Christian, so tell us a little bit about, how you came to know the Lord. And
that's I was born in 57, and I think it was about 68. There was a revival in this area as when Billy Graham came to Pitt Stadium. That was the old Pitt Stadium. So I was about 10 or 12 about that time. And our church was just a mainline Methodist church, and they really weren't involved in the Billy Graham crusade. But our neighbor's church was, and she invited us to get on a bus. I think it was out in St. Clair, pretty close to here. And we got on a bus and rode down into Pittsburgh and saw Billy Graham. I think we ended up going for three visits, three times. He was there for 3 days. And I think it was a Saturday. Went down and gave my heart to the Lord.
Wow.
Yes.
So you were 10 years old?
Between 10 and 12. I would be 11, 68. Okay. I think it was 68. So I was born in 57. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So now from that point on, you got saved as a very young person, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hear all these people that had these big testimonies about how they took all kind of drugs and had all kind of problems. And I thought, well, I guess I'm never really going to have a testimony because I'm not planning on taking drugs and having lots of problems. But then as I get a little older, I guess I'm like the cowboy that rides his horse backwards, and I see where I've been. It's like, wow, the Lord really had my steps ordered.
Yeah. What your testimony speaks to a lot of people, like even for myself, because, my son, growing up in the church, to be, getting saved young, ministering to people, that there is another way. Like you don't have to be raised in the church and then go run with the devil and then come back to the church.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it could be a greater blessing because there's a lot more energy that comes from doing it God's way.
Yeah.
And I think, not that I've done everything so great, and I've had my times, when you get a little wilder, you want to do different things and you try things, but it's really been, knowing that he has you in his wing, like Psalm 91, and he gives you a good life and a long life. It's a blessing.
Yeah,
a major blessing.
Now, was your family a big part of the church growing up?
We all went down together as a family.
Oh, you did?
1968, yeah. Wow. My mom and dad and my two brothers. So Billy Graham kept good touch with us. They had a local counselor. My mom saved all the letters and everything that she would write us, and had kind of a major revival right in our neighborhood. Huh. And that's how I met Foley. And that's how I connected to your mom and dad. They were friends with Foley. Yeah. So the West family and the Salvegi family were going to church together. We all kind of connected at that time. And I was probably getting to be about 16 or so when that happened, and really became more of a major part of my life.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. It's funny because I've interviewed so many different people now, and I've had people who actually were connected to Billy Graham's ministry. And I always tell the story about, it was one shoemaker who witnessed to one boy, who witnessed to another person, who witnessed to another person, who witnessed to Mordecai Ham, who witnessed to Billy Graham. And and then Billy Graham comes to Pittsburgh in 1960s, and my mom gets saved, and you get saved, and it's still making this everlasting impact. So you never underestimate the one, exactly. The one, and even the impact that you've made on the kingdom through your witness and your being like somebody who's been able to live a godly life and really let the Lord shine through everything that you do. So then tell me about some of your earlier times with the Lord. And, as you were coming up through, did you feel a call to ministry, or was it just something like, I want to be saved, but I'm going to do, get into business, or how did that start to open up for you?
I was always kind of industrious. I like to work. And so I just kind of felt that was my ministry, just to work and to do things. And used to, my dad actually took me to work when I was younger, and I was about 13. He put me on a job, and I was worked in the tool shed and sorted tools out, and we did a lot of industrial jobs. So there's always a lot of stairways involved, a lot of running up and down the steps. And the older guys, they didn't really care. They didn't really like me being there in the first place, but then when they started running up and down the steps and found out I would do that for them and bring their tools to them, they started to like me a whole lot more. So, and basically, your dad's there, so you have to kind of go out and earn some respect, because you don't. They treat you like, well, your dad's here, so they treat you a little differently. So, and that was kind of my family tradition was, my dad said, work your favorite hobby and you'll always be having fun. So
that's awesome.
I've always enjoyed working.
That's great advice, And so now your business, Lighthouse Electric, was started when? When was it?
In 1984. Okay. The year before that, my dad went to his employer at the time, which is like my uncle, just a great guy. Took me in and showed me how to work as well, and gave me a job for $1 an hour when I was 12 years old. Hey, it was, it's good. And I think I got double time once in a while when I did a good job.
Your $2.
And that was, my dad would drop me off in the morning at a horse farm that he owned, and I'd be there for 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. Wow. And he, obviously we weren't slave labor. We were having fun and swimming in ponds and playing with the horses and the dogs and chickens and everything else he had on there. So it just gave me a nice work ethic and kept me out of trouble, I think, as well. Yeah. Back in those days, a lot was going on. That would have been in the early 70s.
Okay. So you kind of grew up in that, as a young person working hard.
Good work ethic, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, same here, man, growing up on a farm.
So that was with John, when we worked for John, and Dad went in and told him he had some ideas for the business, and he left him a letter, and he didn't read the letter. I guess he didn't want to for whatever reason. Dad said, well, I told you if you didn't read it, I was going to leave. So we left the company. Actually, I was in a really good position then. I had a good job and a good. I was already starting a family. I was had Anton was a baby, and we had Aaron was still in the oven, and it's kind of just wow. You're on top of the world. Next thing you know, we're out there, nothing.
Right.
So my two brothers came to work at the same time with us, and my youngest brother Todd was an apprentice electrician for another company, and I was my brother Neil and I started out with Dad right off the bat.
Okay, so with your business, is it mostly electrical work or?
Yeah, we were electrical. The nice thing about electrical is everybody knows Jesus was a carpenter. And I always say, well, the big man, he was an electrician because he said, let there be light.
I love it.
And electricians are known for doing their best work in the dark because we're trying to make the lights come on. So,
wow.
So we've always, and we're like the first guys on the job with the temporary and the last guys off hooking up your doorbell. So it's just, we've done a lot of data work, and a lot of icon jobs have come along since 1980. Everybody thought, wow, that wasn't really a good time to be thinking about starting a business.
Yeah.
In the 80s, there was a little bit of depression going on there. And we were able to come together and get some jobs. Our first job was a parking lot light in the church that had the bus that took us to the Billy Graham crusade.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was kind of humbling because we did a lot of bigger jobs than that before, with our other company. But it just started to grow.
Yeah.
And it went on from there. And, I remember our first job that was $100,000. It was like, wow, that's a big job. Now we're doing jobs that are hundreds of millions of dollars. And I always say, if you want to make numbers big, just add zeros.
I love it. Just keep going, right? Yeah. So how did the name Lighthouse Electric come about?
Well, that's a good question. And the fact is, we had a picture of Jesus knocking at the lighthouse in our kitchen, and my mom and dad decided, well, Mikec Electric is kind of hard to say because people didn't really pronounce our name correctly usually anyhow. So they thought, well, how about Lighthouse Electric? And that's what we did.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
Just from the picture.
Yep. How about Lighthouse?
Wow.
Yeah, so that was it.
I love it. And it speaks volumes too, because your business really is a lighthouse.
It has been.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just, a lot of times people don't understand, and, we talk kingdom business a lot, and making your business your ministry. And that's really what you guys have done with yours.
That's how it is, just, and it's not really, a lot of people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's important, knowing the Lord, of course. But other people around you, just put good people around you. There's so many good people that come in and they take on your goal and your common camaraderie, just to, hey, we want to be the best for our customers. And it's like so many of our employees, our customers ask, do you own the business? That's a compliment.
Wow, that's great. Now, would you say that, through your career, obviously there's been ups and downs, like if any business, you have times where you're on, where things are phenomenal, and there's probably times where they're, tell me about how, your relationship with the Holy Spirit and your relationship with the Lord has brought you through some of these, challenges, or even, the highs. Because a lot of times, the highs can be just as much,
it
can be dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're on top of the wheel, you got to keep running so you don't get smashed by it as it's rolling around. You know, and when you're on top, I think you really have to know where everything's coming from, and where true ownership is, and it's the Lord's dominion.
Yeah.
And faith is the opposite of fear, so you can't really be fearful. And so many times, you get something that's like, wow, this could put us out of business. And most of the other people are like, that's what's going to put them out of business.
Yeah,
and we've had some jobs like that, and then they end up being more of a catapult than they push you to your limits, and they push you to your heights.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's a lot of times it's, with faith, like you were saying, is it most people operate in fear. The Bible says you shouldn't have a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. Faith is opposite of fear. And some people never advance in life and never advance in even business because of fear of the unknown. So sometimes you have to really take that step of faith that, like you said, will actually potentially catapult you.
And Paul said, hey, I'll show you my faith by my works.
Yeah.
And not that we have to do works to earn faith, but we're commissioned, to do. One of my favorite thoughts about serving the Lord is a lot of people say wait on the Lord. So wait. A lot of people think, well, that's waiting. I'm going to just sit here and wait. But that's not what the Lord meant at all. He meant wait like a waiter. And, a good waiter, everybody knows when you're at the restaurant, your iced tea never goes empty. Your plates are cleared. They're bringing things to your table. They're asking questions. They are on top of what's going on. And I think the Lord's commissioned us to be on top of what's going on. So I like to be a waiter.
Wow.
So I'm waiting, on the Lord, for the Lord, or for just other people that need something.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of times in business, especially in kingdom business, there's this whole misconception that your job is just to fund the harvest and stay out of the way. You have so much to offer because there's people who are actually in your business or who come to work for you on a daily basis who maybe never would go to church, and then you're also exposed to people. So how do you incorporate that, without stepping over there's certain lines? Like a lot of business people are afraid, like I'm not going to, mix religion and business together or my faith and my business together. But I've always found that it's like there's such a huge opportunity there,
Well, a lot of people, the only Bible they're ever going to read or see, or the only confrontation with Jesus is the one that they'll have with you.
Yeah.
And, it's a major compliment when someone says, well, I just did what you did. And they come to the Lord.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people work with us and have, come to the Lord. And I've ridden to, you ride to work with people. You ride an hour back and forth, you get to know each other pretty well. And it's always a good time to witness or minister.
Yeah.
It catches on fire. Some of them are like the woman at the well. They run around and tell everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah, because I'm sure most of the people in your line of work aren't, necessarily raised in the church,
Yeah, and you have both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just treat everybody the way you want to be treated and love each. Jesus said, "Go at it with love." I think it's the most important ingredient.
Yeah,
and if you truly do love somebody, they know it.
You're right, and so that hasn't been a detriment to your business whenever you bring faith to it. And you think it's taken it to a new level, or
open
up doors
all the time. Yeah, there's just miracles happen all the time.
Yeah,
and I think our angels watch us too.
Yeah, for sure.
Millions of hours worked and nobody hurt.
Wow,
so it's just a big thing. And we have probably close to 1,000 employees.
Wow.
Now. And you just pray every day that everybody stays safe.
Yeah. Yeah, because the type of work you're doing, just to give perspective, is like, could potentially be very dangerous.
138,000 volts to 13 volts. It's just, it's what it is out there.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that I'd see so much change in my lifetime. Just like the Thomas Edison light bulb and now the LEDs and, we had neons and some of the jobs that we've done have been just, mind blowing. It's kind of fun We've done some big battery plants and done lots of data centers. Just amazing. It's like a highway that's never finished.
Yeah.
I compare the one place where we work to like a 3-lane highway. We build the first lane, they get it fired up. Build the second lane, they fire it up. Build the third lane, they get it going. They tear the first lane down, rebuild it.
Wow.
They just keep, because the technology
keeps advancing.
Pretty much the day you open up the box, it's old.
Wow.
So the technology just keeps on changing, getting faster and faster.
Now, what's the biggest type of job your business has seen? I mean, is it stadiums? Is it hospitals? Like, what's, where
we've had a good mix of all that.
Yeah.
We're doing an airport now that's like 400 million.
Wow.
And we've done hospitals that were, 20, 30 million. Some from the ground up could be as much as 250 million.
So what I catch from you is be faithful in the little and make you ruler over the much.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the doorbell job is just as important as the big job. The data center. Yeah,
and also to have time for people. Take time for people. I mean, just like you helped me with the dirt bike all those years ago.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy it, that's what's great. My dad always said, enjoy what you're doing, and you're always going to be just having a good time.
Yeah, and one thing I always teach people is your gift makes room for you, and so it sets you in front of kings, and and so you think about you have a gift that has put you in places that you probably never dreamed you'd ever go.
Yeah, so many times, I'll be there and I'll almost have to kind of pinch myself to think about how'd I get here,
right?
And these are important people I've met. I know all my political people around me. That's been fun just to be involved. And the Lord, I think, tells us, hey, I never complain. If I have something I want to complain about, first thing I want to do is figure out what am I doing wrong that's making me not able to be in the right position here. Why am I complaining? Number one. So, that said, when I didn't know who to vote for or wasn't happy with what was going on in politics, I got involved and did some of that. And it's the lowest elected office in the land is a committee man. So I became a committee person. Just started to meet people that were involved in politics and gotten to meet presidents and gotten to shake hands with almost everybody I've ever voted for.
Wow.
It changes your attitude about it, and you realize what they're really going through to try to be a servant to the public.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that aren't good, and you work on them, and you find out that some of them they got there with good intentions and they get stuck in kind of a rat race.
Yeah.
And it's hard. So you can support them and pray for them and let them know that you care for them. And it's definitely, we need each other in all aspects of life.
Yeah, I remember hearing somebody say one time, they said, that as a politician, a lot of times the person says, man, if I ever got elected, I would do this, this, and this. And then they get in the position and realize that once they see behind the scenes that person could have never done the things that they wanted to do.
It's hard. And it takes a lot to have influence when you get into those situations, and that's really a key about it. And really, probably some of the people that do the best are the ones that drive from the back seat. They have more influence over people than they realize.
Sure, right.
You could talk to people and they'll say, oh yeah, so-and-so told me this and that's why we're doing it. And sometimes you got to watch what you say too.
Yeah.
Even myself, I've said things before, and even to my workers, and turn around, next thing I know, they're doing it.
Wow.
And I was just kind of dreaming about it.
Yeah, right.
They're making it happen. So again, it's surrounding yourself with people that have a good attitude and a can-do spirit.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Bible says, you make the vision, you write the vision, you make it plain, and then the people who see it, then they run with it. And so that's really what I'm hearing from you is when you do your business, whether it's in the political realm or in the business realm or the church realm, is that you basically are a visionary but people believe in what you do, and they believe in the vision that you're casting, that once they hear it, they're going to pick it, see it, and run with it.
And that makes you feel really energized by what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And, they get rewarded for it too. And I'm glad that, years that we have that are flat and there's not a huge profit. When you really think about it, I used to say to my dad, I said, Dad, it's not that bad. Add up everything you paid everybody all year. And that's a harvest.
Yeah, it's a harvest, yeah.
They're taking that home to their families. Dad used to say, they don't drive rust buckets around here, so everybody had a good car, a good family.
That's good, yeah.
Good place to live. And you feel like you're helping people do what they do best.
Right. Yeah, and it's a testimony to the people around you too. It's like, a lot of times, here's the other thing is there's a misconception in business with this is that, oh, you own the business, you're, man, the guy, everything's gold, he walks on water type of thing. But in reality, I remember owning a restaurant where there was months where I was the last guy to get paid.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. If anybody doesn't get paid, it's us.
Exactly,
it's
right.
The family members are the ones that are running the business. So,
yeah.
Yeah, the other checks go out once a week.
That's right. Yeah, they have to. Yeah. So tell me this, how is the dynamics of being a family business? Because it's not just you; it's you and your brothers and your kids and all this other dynamic of it. Sometimes people really struggle.
And you see so many. In fact, in some of the associations where I always see companies that they peak out at about $80 million worth of work annually. So they do about $80 million worth of work, and we've had people come to you. How do you do a job that's $450 million? You're doing $500 million a year as a company, or heck, we're headed. I think the way we're going, we're probably headed to $1 billion a year. Wow. Here in the next 5 years, and my answer is you don't look at that big piece. You look at the small piece. I think the first day I went to work on that horse farm, my dad said, he said, if they hand you a teaspoon and they send you over to a great big pile of horse manure, I don't know if he said that or not, but he said horse manure. And he said, just start on one side, start cleaning it up and moving it from here to there. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they asked me to do. Yeah, there's a big pile of manure, and I like driving the tractor and taking the manure spreader. So I grabbed a shovel, and every morning I was usually the first one there at 6 o'clock in the morning because my dad dropped me off on his way to work. And I'd have 2 or 3 loads of manure out the door and spread on the field before they even got up in the morning.
Wow.
But you just start on one corner and keep working your way through.
Yeah, right. So you don't look at the big. It's like eating an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, set a goal, set a small goal.
Yeah,
and take that one. Like the Lord said, if you're faithful in the small, you will be given the big one.
Yeah,
because the bigger work is just a bunch of little jobs put together.
Now, I notice a lot in the Bible. You hear these stories like of guys like Joseph, where they're given these downloads from heaven. They kind of set things free, or like, has there ever been times in business for you where you've, had a dream or seen something that's like, man, this could really unlock something for the business, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've taken on, I'd say probably in the last 10, 15 years, the idea that we could do prefabrication in our business and treat our business a little more like a manufacturing. And, because so many things on the job, when you go to build them on the job, the conditions could be snow blowing sideways. It could be like today, very hot, just hard place to work. And we found that the more work we could do in a good conditioned space and a good clean work area, and we probably have, we could use about 200,000 square feet of space. We're probably working at 100 right now of shop space. Okay. where we build what we call racks, or we build hangers. We bend pipe. For our business, we do a lot of pipe work, a lot of conduit, and a lot of the wire goes in pipe. And we ship it out to the jobs, and they put it up in the air or drop it in a ditch, and it's it's getting the attention of other businesses.
Wow.
We've been asked by 2 huge corporations to come and show them what to do, show them how to do it. They ask you to come to work because they know you're doing something different. Yeah. And we actually did a job for a customer and was able to give them back $30 million.
Wow.
Just because we saved it in the budget.
Jeez.
And that's usually a labor savings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now you're use that Holy Ghost wisdom to say, all right, let's do some of this in a shop and then ship it out.
And actually it's somewhat of an investment because when you first start it takes a while to figure things out, and it's almost a little disappointing. You say, well, we spent a lot of money figuring that one out. But once you build on it, the momentum, starts to catch, and people understand, oh yeah, this is what we're doing, this is how it's going to work, and oh, that coupling doesn't work, let's use this other type, it's so much easier in the field. And, so it's been a real kind of a joint effort, and I'd say we're probably one of only a handful, like maybe 5 in the whole country that are at the level doing some of the things that we do. And
wow.
We've had a lot of visits, and that then led to another company that we're starting. It's actually just about organizing, and we're showing people kind of the way to do it.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we have a little company called Safe Right Fast.
Oh, wow.
It started out as a safety thing and ended up becoming more of a methods, a means and methods. And we have software and things that we could sell them to help them organize, and we've getting a lot of hits on it. It's new. We've only been doing that for about a little over a year.
Wow, Safe Right Fast, huh?
Yeah, we've had the idea for a while, but I think that might be one of the bigger. I always say that'll be the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah,
Lighthouse will be small compared to that business.
What I love about it is most people are afraid to share what they do. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, amen. I mean, like I was saying, in the associations where it seems like these companies top out at about 80 million.
Yeah.
And what's happening here for us is each of the brothers kind of had their own lane.
Right.
One brother became more of the businessman, the information officer, and he just was digging and finding, looking for new customers, and he's still currently our CEO. And then my son moved in as president, working with him. And then my other brother was into estimating and figuring. He calls it exactimating. He tries to get them exact. So he puts pricing together, and he kind of raised up a team in that area. And we're moving on, even as the brothers. So it's almost time for us to get out of the way. Like I said, we're becoming the old men in the room, and we have a lot of young, super capable. And we talk about some of the jobs we did and the things they're doing, I'd say 100 times.
Yeah, and that's a hard transition a lot of times, would you say, for business people, is knowing when to get out of the way for the next generation.
The last 10 years I've been working on being unimportant.
Yeah.
It's nice. You don't have to make any decisions. Somebody else will make it. It'll be a good one.
Right.
And you have to learn to back them.
Yeah.
So you can't always want to have the last say. That's that $80 million company. When everything has to go through one guy, there's a ceiling. It's just never going to go.
Sure.
When you open it up and say, folks, it's your world. You could go out there and make this happen,
right,
just like I can, and probably do it better than me. And they take off and run with it.
Yeah,
that's when you grow.
Well, so being the old guy in the room is just wisdom, really. I mean, it's what you've learned is so valuable, and it's going to take other people to a new level. Because I know even in the restaurant business, when my first restaurant, actually my second restaurant, the biggest mistake I made was I made me the center point of the restaurant, and so I could never leave it. I was stuck there.
Yeah. Everybody's having fun and you're working.
Yeah, and you're working. And then, and so when you could figure out a way to impart the wisdom into the next generation and move out of the way, but still be relevant, because obviously, you're still playing a major role because of the wisdom that you bring.
You want to support.
Yeah, you want to support.
And do the right thing. When things go wrong and haywire, that's usually when they call me.
Right.
It's not because I'm so smart. It's because I've probably seen it a lot of times.
Right.
I always say my specialty is making chicken soup out of chicken poop.
I love it.
So you get there and it's like, oh man, this job is going to pot. We got to really, figure it out. And you just spend a little time with them and come up with a few ideas. Or, sometimes it's just, hey, grab a broom and sweep the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that one time on a job and somebody goes, hey, guy, he owns a company. Oh, hey, my dad always told me, stay busy.
Right.
Yeah, floor needs sweep it. Somebody might get hurt tripping on this garbage.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing is, as a business owner, you're really, you do it all. I mean, in the restaurant business, I'd be washing dishes and scrubbing pots and pans and cooking. And
you got to do it all.
Taking out the trash and packing
last guy to leave. Yeah. First one in. Yeah.
First one in, last one out. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of glory, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But you got to be
that's the
willing
fun part, but it pays off in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
Persistence, like I said, keeping the small job being equally as important as a big job, and just giving it your whole heart.
And tell me about focus. Like a lot of times people are so all over the place in business. Like it seems like you guys have been focused.
That's a good one, because focus is so important. And I learned a lot about business from Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my mom was involved in that when we were younger. Yeah. And it was goals and vision boards and put things on the wall, putting a picture on the wall. And one of the things I came up with on my jobs is I like to know everybody. So I gave everybody a name badge, with their picture on it.
Wow.
And I gave them 3 because I wanted one for I knew where they were on the job, and then one on their tools, so I knew that was their safety belt and their tools, and the other one was just for their access, like for their wallet. And it became a nice way to actually see what's going on with your whole group.
Yeah. And
the foreman would be in charge of these guys, and they would take turns, making sure that they would trade guys a little bit, based on their skills. And at the end of the day, it was real handy to make sure everybody got paid too. So
yeah, sure. Good tracking.
Definitely want to keep track of their time.
Yeah, but as like somebody who's got skills and talents, especially because you got into politics and different things, how do you stay like lasered in on what this call is for your life?
Focus. Again, it goes almost back to the original thing I was talking about, was starting on one corner and just working your way through.
Right. So it's done.
Yeah, and that small goal becomes a bigger goal, and the next goal, and the next goal. So, hey, by the end of the day, I want to have this done.
Yeah.
If you don't get it done, it's not the end of the world, but at least it's still there. So first thing in the morning, you pick up, I got to hammer that one out, and you might do real good and get 2 goals that day.
Right.
You just have. You really break it down into attainable and kind of like bite-sized pieces. You eat the elephant one bite at a time, they say.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's so true in just about everything you do.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, I think a lot of times people look at the big pile and they don't even start.
Mm-hmm.
The pile's
so
big.
You get deterred, because you see it, it's like, oh wow, I can't handle this. It's just way bigger than me. And everything's bigger than me. Yeah. Almost everything we do is bigger than me.
Right.
But it could be tackled a little bit at a time.
Yeah, right.
And you just keep hammering and shoveling and picking and doing whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's wisdom
to go at it. Yeah.
And then so what's the future like? You feel for your company. Obviously, you have the new side coming where you're going to be training other people to do what you do. You said it's going to be $1 billion company, and
Yeah, it's growing. We're coming up with these new way to kind of manage things with business units, and each one of the leaders has his business unit. We have a shop in Columbus, Ohio, I think, and we're now Pittsburgh based, and we're in Virginia, and we're in Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah, so those business bases are tackling new jobs and doing different things, and having your steps ordered really makes a difference with the Lord. I was sitting on the beach in South Carolina, and I could tell that there was something going on, kind of electrical, because there was a lot of we have IBW as our logo for our workers, the union workers. And I was seeing a lot of those around on the cars and things. There's got to be something going on here. Here I was sitting right next to the guy in charge of all the labor for all of Kentucky at the beach. Wow. I got to spend time with him that week. And when it came time for us to go to work in Kentucky, he had all the manpower there. And
wow.
So the Lord just orders your steps.
Yeah. And it could happen just sitting on a beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't beat that, right?
Yeah. That's great.
Get divine wisdom.
Felt like Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah. I love it. So how does, with your businesses in Lighthouse Electric, what's your means of getting the word out about Lighthouse Electric? I mean, is it just one of the things where you've gotten to a point where everybody knows who you are? Or do you have to still focus on heavily advertising? Or, I mean, how do you get the word out about yourself?
It's just kind of like all of the above.
Yeah.
Advertising is usually not a real big thing for us because it usually reaches the wrong customers. And not that there is such thing as a wrong customer, but I mean, if you're focusing on medical work, or if you're focusing on data centers or car manufacturing facilities and things like that, you're just not going to advertise on the radio,
sure, right,
or TV. So our method there is to go and be around those kind of people. So we'll go to lean building techniques or architectural type. A lot of times we'll go to a trade show. We'll be the only electrical contractor there because it's more people like that are trying to do architectural or building work or something. Yeah. So,
wow.
So it kind of makes us a little bit of a center of attention sometimes because we'll show our racks and some of our building methods. We'll share that at those kinds of things. And that's probably led us to more of the bigger work than anything I could think of, and it's association. Again, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Sure, right.
And you want to know the people that are going to make decisions and say, hey, we want to try this. What's it like to get 6 miles of pipe in with 3 guys in one day? And they start to talk about it. And
they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and if I could say one thing, the methods that we're working with now and with the fabrication and the kitting and things like that have really brought our jobs to be on schedule, and that's probably what saves more money than anything.
Wow.
It's all kind of a 4D operation where you have schedule and you have a building that you're building in 3D. You wouldn't be able to do the prefabrication without the CAD drawings and the models.
Yeah.
A lot of our electricians have come into the office and they sit at their desk and they read the drawings and they kind of put all that material together and figure it all out and bend the pipe and everything. And it's all done on CAD. Then that drawing comes out and it goes down to the shop and they build it right. I mean, we have pictures of our drawings and pictures of our racks, and they look. One has red colors on, the other one just looks like pipe. So it's
wow.
It's kind of neat.
So technology has been a major influence on the growth of your business.
Very much so.
Yeah. And so instead of rejecting it, you embrace it. And,
some people are afraid of it. They didn't really want to see the car. The guys that had the horse barns.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they want to see it.
Yeah. Turned out being a good thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And now it seems like there's a major push towards electric cars and things like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's the future that if somebody's watching this thing, like where do you put all your chips into? You know what I mean?
I could from not a whole lot of experience, but with enough to be able to understand what's going on. The whole electric car thing is amazing, but the caveat is my neighbor came over and said, "Hey, I got an electric Jeep," so she wanted me to send somebody to hook the charger up. I said, I'm going to come over and do it myself. I want to see this. So I went over, hooked up her charger, and it's an all electric home, and the whole running during the hot season, even with air conditioning, the house only draws 40 amps of power. The charger for the battery pulls 75 amps.
Wow,
on fast charge. Wow. Yeah, it's way more than the whole house. So if everybody on your street gets an electric car, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
Because you're going to blow up the distribution system from the power company.
Wow.
Yeah, the houses, they just aren't designed. Our infrastructure is not designed to handle that much of an inrush, of power. So that makes me feel good in a way, because there's a lot of work out there for electricians.
Yeah.
Because and you hear people talk about infrastructure, that's a lot about what they're talking about.
Right.
We need to come up with new ways to distribute electric to homes, to make sure that they could run those kinds of things.
Yeah, sure. And the thing is a lot of times people don't realize that most of our electric is coming from coal, natural gas and coal and sources like that.
Yeah, the sun panels, it's always fun to see those.
Yeah.
We hook a lot of chargers up, and they always have that big sun panel on top of the car charger.
Yeah.
I could let you know that that's only running the credit card machine.
I love it. It's not doing much.
It's not doing much. Yeah.
So you still need the coal-fired plants and the natural gas
right
power
now.
plants.
We need to let I was going to say nature take its course, but it might not be nature. It might be more like capitalism.
Yeah.
Let the business itself take care of itself.
Right.
People are going to get these things because they want them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun to drive an electric car.
Yeah.
They are fastest thing you ever got into. They are amazing, but they still only go about 300 miles.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh that out. But the battery technology is changing. The motor technology is changing, and it'll come.
Yeah.
We'll do it. I mean, we'll be flying things around like George Jetson.
Yeah, for sure.
It's coming. We're going to figure it out. Yeah.
It's interesting. We just got back from Europe, and the big thing over there is LP. So everybody's using propane in their cars because it's $4 for a liter of gasoline. It's $180 to fill up a little car with gas. So they switched to natural gas. Yeah, and it's a great alternative. It works good. Yeah, it works good. And it's funny because here, we have an abundance of natural gas, but there's nowhere to fill up your car with it. Yeah, you know what I mean. Same with electric.
Again, we just need to start to change our thinking a little bit. And the gas. Propane gas is great for running vehicles. Yeah. It gasifies at 40 degrees instead of like 300 to like liquid gas.
Yeah. So, like you said, it's obviously the business should be running, as opposed to saying, hey, look, by this year we all have to be all electric. No, it should be based on the supply and demand. And then
I think that's a better way to drive a market.
Yeah. If you build a great electric car, everybody wants to buy it, then everybody's going to buy it, and then everything's going to flip. But
and you see it, you see it happening. Yeah,
there's a lot of that. But I think there's some people who never want to give up a gas engine.
Yeah, I know. Ford has changed their thinking a little bit on their electric vehicles, and same with General Motors. And we've worked in both of their plants, and it was kind of gung-ho at first and had to hurry up and get things done. And I think we need to think about this a little bit. And I think the market's actually going to drive it
for sure
the way it should go, instead of the government trying to drive it.
Yeah, ultimately, especially in America, they have a voice, and they're going to push back in certain areas, and what makes sense is going to prevail. So, but that was just a side note, getting you off on electric cars from what you do. Now, part of our interviews is obviously, we've gone through your progression, your testimony. What I love about your testimony is that you stayed in the faith. How long you been married now?
Married 47 years.
47 years.
Got married 77.
How many kids?
We have 4,
Great.
3 boys and a daughter.
And how many grandkids?
11 and 1 great grandchild.
Come on.
Yeah. Wow, I'm a great grandpa.
I love it.
Like I said, the older guy in the room.
Yeah. And
Get up too soon, smart too late.
And so the thing is like, hey, you know what? The legacy that you have is going to impact so many. Now, there's something I always teach in my ministry. It's like, seed time, harvest time in business is such a big thing. Yeah. So talk to me about how that impact has been on your life, with being a giver. I know you're a huge giver. In your community and everything else, but
you cannot give God, that's for sure. But it's not always just monetary. It's your attitude and the way what you do with other people, how you treat them. And I think that again, that's just good seed. When you put those kinds of, you plant seeds of kindness and love and friendship and things like that, it comes back hundredfold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how I like to live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And you try not to be negative,
Right.
I mean, negative speaking, negative thinking, people are getting what they say. Jesus said, whatever you say, you could say to this mountain, be picked up and thrown into the ocean, and it'll do. It has to obey. He didn't say it will, it has to obey. So you got to watch what comes out of your mouth. I try never to belittle anybody, or even myself, especially. So many times, we're probably harder on ourselves than anybody. So you always want to pull for the good,
right?
Pull for the good things, look for the positive.
Yeah.
Try to, make the best out of what you have, and it works.
Yeah. So somebody getting started out, whether it's in business, ministry, politics, whatever it is, like you said, you're the old guy in the room,
I might represent that statement.
And so, what's something you would tell somebody just kind of getting started out? Some lessons that you've learned over the years,
Wow. Yeah. Act on your dreams quickly. Many times I'll think of something and I'll say, man, well, you should do that. And then I'll sit on it, or I'll be busy doing something else and I won't do anything. Next thing I do, I turn around and somebody else is doing it. Or, maybe I lost my opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's nothing, don't be shy about your dreams. Go for it, do it, tackle it, and again, that's where everything else kicks in. Focus a little bit at a time. Don't get disappointed. The small things lead to big things. It's a continuous cycle. Yeah, I mean, you're on the top a lot of times. You're in the valley a lot of times. I like to hit the valley hard, and I hit it hard and get some momentum so you can get up the next hill.
Wow,
you see it coming. You're, oh man, this is going downhill. You just hit it hard and go for the other side and try to get back up again.
Yeah, right.
It's a kind of a wave, sine wave.
Yeah. Man, that's some good stuff. I love it.
Hit it hard.
Yeah. Just keep it simple, right?
Yeah, and really so much. I mean, so many times we overthink it, get complicated. Then you get fearful because you're thinking of everything that could be wrong. God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but He's given us a sound mind.
That's right.
And if you think you're stupid, ask for wisdom. So I do. I feel stupid every day.
Yeah.
I say, Lord, man, help me through this. And He does.
Wow.
Because it says, if you ask for it, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And He was really impressed with King Solomon when he asked for that, not gold and not castles and not many other things that I'm sure he could ask for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you ask the Lord for wisdom, He's going to give it to you.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. People didn't think I was that smart. They probably still don't think I'm that smart.
Well, you're getting it done, right? You're winning at the game of life, which is the most important thing,
It is a sort of a game.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you kind of ride it. You're riding it. I like to ride things. I know the world is full of rust and corrosion. That's what keeps us busy working on these things we like to ride. But it's fun, and when you have a good ride, it's like, wow, that was a good ride.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it's a little tougher one.
Yeah.
But you ride it out. You do what you can do. You do your best. You try to make it so that everybody has a little bit of win in the situation, and I think God honors that.
Yeah, I love it how you said it. It said, "Act on your dreams right away. Don't wait." I think that so many people get frozen by fear and they don't move forward. And
just go for it.
Yeah,
go for it. That's all I can say. Just go for it. If somebody wants to do something, man, come on! I want to watch it happen. Let's go. I want to see you do it. I get excited with them.
Now, let me ask you this, because I mean, this ties into that. A lot of times people won't do it because of finances or logistics or things like that. So, I mean, you have this dream. It's like, man, I really want to do this, but, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, we just can't afford to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, every once in a while you do have to use a little bit of restraint, you know, or you could calculate that and figure out what it is going to take. And sometimes I call it, maybe sell the sizzle instead of the steak.
Yeah.
So you tell people what you're going to do and you get them excited about it, and then they'll get behind you. And, maybe you could tackle a little bigger project if you get some help.
Yeah, right.
All the money belongs to the Lord.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, we were talking, when you trust him, he frees it up.
Yeah.
It comes from wherever, there's been times when, your bank account's pretty empty and, hey, that's a good time to give it to the Lord. Let's just clean it out and give it all to him.
That's right, yeah.
and the next thing you know, it comes back in because you actually had the faith to act on it.
Cast your bread on the water, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the Lord said to do.
Yeah, and it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's a fun ride for sure. Yeah, well, that's amazing. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, family person. You lived a great godly life, and just have that example to people. To my wife and I, you and your wife have been a huge blessing to us, and ever since even I was a little kid. I mean, I don't think you, but I don't even think you realize the impact you made even on our life. Being so far away, and so it's always good for me. It's like I always have been taught to honor the people who helped us on the way up. It's like there's a whole thing about it. You treat people on the way up as the way you'd want to be treated. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a number one.
Yeah.
And don't go home or go to bed even being mad at anybody.
Yeah, that's good.
Don't even don't take communion unless if you have aught against your brother. The Lord said, and it's like there's. How am I going to even pray at night if I'm mad at my brother? Or whatever. So that's been a good rule in the family business too.
That's good. Yeah.
Is don't go home mad at anybody, and if you do, make a phone call or get it straightened up before you hit the pillow.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember watching Orange County Choppers, and those guys were always fighting.
That's a family business area.
And then you think, man, is this how family businesses are?
I think they're all wearing orange suits now.
I know. But I remember watching it. I was like, man, these guys just can't get along.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the show.
Yeah,
sometimes you got to do that just to make a little noise.
Yeah, right. Or else nobody will tune in. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I remember watching that, saying, "Man, if this is family business, who the heck wants to be in it?" But I love about your story is that your families just work together. I'm sure it hasn't always been roses, but there's just like any other family business, there's going to be the ups and downs and things like that. But man, you guys are just such a great example to people.
It's humbling, really, when you see where the Lord brings you.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. I mean, it's such great wisdom, and as you go back and re-listen to this broadcast, I'm sure that each time you listen to these things, you grab more and more out of it. I mean, for me, I do these really for myself. It's a great way for me to take myself to a new level and just to gain wisdom from people around me who are getting things done. And like I said in the beginning, what I love about your story is it's all encompassing. It's like I love to interview people in ministry and in business, and now obviously you've been involved in the political realm. But to get somebody who's done literally all three of those things, and not just on a low level. I mean, you're so humble. That's the other thing too, is humility. It's because a lot of times people are like, I've done nothing. But yet, you look at their social media and you think, man, this guy's like, you think he climbed Mount Everest or something like that. And here's somebody who's done so much, and with you and your family together, that just to meet you on the street, probably we'd never know it. You know what I mean? You're not out there tooting your
That's
own
a goal.
horn,
A goal too is to be humble.
Yeah,
because it's a better way, and I like to be on the level with my workers and my people that I'm associated with,
Yeah.
It's not like everybody's on an equal plane.
Yeah.
Really, the Lord has us all in the same place. And I believe that if you treat people correctly, you're going to have a lot better results.
Yeah, that's great.
Better results.
So in closing, is there anything else you'd like to share, or Any last minute wisdom or?
I just you just have to give God the glory for everything.
Yeah.
You feel so incapable
Yeah.
so many times, and the Lord just gives you enough energy to make the next step and take the next one and the next one.
Right.
And it really it makes you, it puts it all in perspective.
Yeah.
It really does.
Wow.
Yeah, I get kind of emotional when I think about how many people have been there for me and how many people I've been there for, and it works.
Yeah.
It really works.
Yeah, I remember like doing my restaurant. When I did my second restaurant to call you up and I said, hey, I want to light this building up, and you were like, oh yeah, let's do it.
They're still there.
Still there? Yeah. I'm not. The lights are still there.
Yeah. It's time to change the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're high pressure sodium. I think we need to get some, or metal halides. I think we need to get some LEDs up there.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm not there no more.
So I have to call that guy.
Call them. Send them a bill. But
you started a good thing because it's still a great restaurant.
Still there, yeah.
It's still people that what you started there has become actually a little icon here in Washington County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. But like I said, when I was doing it, it was this old house sitting on a hill, and I said, man, that house is dark. Yeah. It needs to be lit up. Who do I know who does lighting? Yeah. Oh, I know. I'll give Mark a call and let's strategize this thing. And he came up with a brilliant plan to make it a house on a hill.
It does stand up. It really does light it up.
Yeah, it lights it up.
Beautiful place.
Yeah. Show for today. I really appreciate you coming on. And listen, if you're watching this broadcast, obviously he has Lighthouse Electric. It's not for everybody, like he said, but what he's doing, just keep an eye on him, Google him, see what they're doing and just see that the future is going to be so big for them,
Safe Right Fast.
Safe Right Fast, coming your way, So Google Safe Right Fast, but, and I'm sure that, if there's anything that you have to offer any of my listeners out there that they can connect with you through the internet, through Lighthouse Electric and Safe Right Fast.
LighthouseElectric.com.
Yeah.
We're always hiring.
Yeah, there you go.
Hiring and firing. No, I've never really fired too many people.
Okay. So
that's a good thing to say. They leave sometimes on their own or they go on to do their own businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of people we've worked with have started their own businesses. And, I like to always have a clean slate when we part ways and we help each other out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a great community out there.
So they're always hiring. So if you're an electrician or somebody who's in that field, go to lighthouseelectric.com and connect with this amazing company. And it really is an amazing company with a great culture. So, but listen, that's all we have for you today for the broadcast. And until we meet again. So bless everybody for watching. Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, it's great having you. So. Wow, what an amazing testimony. Every time I do one of these broadcasts, I actually get more out of it than I think anybody, really. So it's just an amazing thing. The Bible says that they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And that's really a big part of what we're doing with these broadcasts. It's sharing other people's testimonies. We want to get more of this out there because the more testimonies that are shared, the more that we can overcome. When you hear somebody else and what they went through, it makes it so much not so much easier, but it gives you this victory before you even set out because you say, hey, that person went through it and they were victorious. I can do it too, and I can take ground for the kingdom. It's been an honor to be around these people who are out there getting it done, whether it's in business or it's in ministry. And there's more to come. So we need you. We need your support. We need your partnership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link below to my Zephy account to either partner with us or if you want to be a part of our European trip, whatever it is that you want to do, because there's so much coming this year between Europe and we're going into Guatemala and other countries in Central America. And we're calling it out all through the United States to bring the message of kingdom business and marketplace ministry to people who really don't know their place in ministry. They know I'm good in business or, in the secular world, but I don't know how to cross that over. And that's what we're doing. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to book us, you can always send us an email. or go to my website, The Alfanos, Alfanos, ALFANOS.com, or alfanoministries.com. Either one goes to the same spot. And you can just, ask for more information. You can contact me directly at Mark at M-A-R-C. It's not M-A-R-K, it's M-A-R-C at alfanoministries.com if you'd like to book us to come to share at your church. And like I said, if you'd like to partner with us, we prefer Zephy, but we also do Cash App and Zelle and all that other stuff too, or even snail mail. If you wanted to send us a check directly, it goes to 10642 Lake Montauk, Montauk Drive, Riverview, Florida 33578. And, so either way, any of that works for us. But, we're planning on bringing more content like this. We've already got a bunch recorded that'll be put out mostly on Fridays. That's my plan, is to put these out every Friday. So I hope you'd enjoyed it, and I hope it touched you as much as it touched me. So God bless you, and thank you so much for tuning in. This broadcast has been brought to you by friends and partners of Alfano Ministries International. Thank you for partnering with us today.